Happy full moon in Aries, everybody. My name is Danny Guthrie, and I'm going to be doing a reading today for our full moon in Aries. This is #Tarot Songs, a tarot channel for learning the tarot through interviews, through readings, through guided meditations, and through music. So please press subscribe and start to follow me, and I'll keep you up to date on all of the readings for our new moons and full moons, and also just how to grow your own tarot reading practice in general. I also have a website, entropyhealing.com. That's ENTROPY healing.com. And you can find out more about getting tarot readings from me, doing workshops, some online things coming up soon. So go ahead and go there. And if you sign up for my newsletter, I send out a little energetic zodiac tarot reading for each zodiac season, as well as events and collaborations coming up. So that's a wonderful way to stay connected with me. So and also this is the beautiful space. In case you didn't know, I offer private individual sound baths here. So I have my room still set up from a private sound bath, and it's just so beautiful. I had to stay here and sit on the ground while I do the reading. So today we're going to, I pulled a spread for our full moon in Aries. So the moon is in Aries, but the sun is in Libra. And, Aries, if you look at the zodiac, Aries is on the opposite side of the spectrum from Libra. So they kind of balance each other, which is interesting because Libra is also symbolized by the scales, which is a sign of balance. And so there is kind of an energetic balancing here between Aries and Libra. And Aries, if you're not familiar, is the very first zodiac of the season, of the wheel of the year. So it kicks off the brand new, it's kind of like the brand new baby of the zodiac. Aries is, I associate it kind of with the numbers 0 or 1 in numerology and tarot. And Aries is an energy of activation. Right? It's an energy of doing. There's an exuberance, there's an excitement. There's a desire to just go and see and do and experience all the things. And I think our anchor card for this reading is wonderfully significant of that, an embodiment of that. So we have this Aries, but it is in a moon. This is a full moon. So the moon brings up some shadow works. It's things that are kind of in the shadows. It is our connection more to the ebb and flow of things, connecting to our divine feminine, because the moon is more feminine and the sun has more of that masculine energy. So I wanted to ask the cards today some helpful information for what is our anchor card. So if you are pulling your own cards, you go ahead and do this, and I would love to hear in your comments what you pulled. And so we're going to be asking, first of all, what is our anchor card? And I put that up on the top. And then down below it, so I'll mirror for you, down below it to the left will be our card, our message from Aries. So what does Aries have to tell us today? And then we have a message from Libra. So that's moving left to right. We have a message from Libra. And then I always like to ask, so what does this mean? What's the point? How can I work with this? So I ask for our next steps, so that we can actually learn and work through the tarot and create our own relationships with the cards. How do they apply to our real life? So I asked our next steps, as well as our guiding light, which kind of, gives us a sense of what is the theme of all of this? Where are we headed? What is the significance of all this? How is this benefiting us in the long run? So our card that I pulled with the Chris Ann Light Seers Tarot deck for our anchor card this season is the Page of Wands. So you can see this girl, she's got her wand, she's flying it up in the air, she's, dancing unabashedly. And so the Page of Wands, this is a card, if we were going to pick a symbol for Aries, I feel like this would be, one of the top 3 cards. And so the pages of all pages bring us to an exuberant energy of our inner child. Every page that comes up there's some message about our inner child, tapping into that excitement that we have as children, that naivety sometimes, but that is in its fullest and purest form, that is not, hasn't been infiltrated by other opinions or swayed one way or the other. It is kind of a pure energy. And so our card, for this Aries season is our Page of Wands, and I'll go through and then we'll talk about all of them. And our message from Aries is Three of Pentacles. Our message from Libra is Death and Rebirth. And then our next steps of working between Libra and Aries, that energy, how do we work with both of them together, is the Seven of Pentacles. And then our guiding light, we have the Star. So when I teach tarot, I also like to, there's so many ways that you can interpret the cards. How do you even approach it? So the first thing that I say is, before you memorize the numbers or anything, is to look at what stands out first. What is the kind of boom, what's in your face? And immediately what I notice is we have two major arcana cards. We have the Star as our guiding light, which is number 17. 1 + 7 is 8. So that's the energy of a number 8, which I also associate with our heart chakra. It's also related to the card of strength. So we have the Star as our guiding light. So we have that major arcana, and we also have Death and Rebirth, which is number 13. 1 + 3 is 4, and this is a number of stability and security and balance. So I noticed right away that we have these two major arcana cards, and right away the Star always brings us to some kind of healing and recovery and like recuperation. And I really associate the Star with some of our genetic healing, like healing of karmic lines, healing of family, healing of our ancestors. So there's a connection here to the Star of we're doing in our guiding light. There's some healing that we're going through that is not just healing ourselves, but we're healing from and also healing the generations that we come from, our parents, their parents, their parents. And also I feel in this reading that also there's a healing of the land and this place that we live in, that we have collectively grown together. There's a healing of us collectively in this space that we are dwelling in. So we have that, and so we have those two major arcanas. And what I also notice is, even though our card for the season is Page of Wands, this is very fiery, it kind of wants to move quickly. It's very inspired, it's energetic. But our message from Aries and from our next steps is Pentacles, the Three of Pentacles and the Seven of Pentacles. These are not numbers and energy that have the answers right now. These are cards of slower energy, and wanting to kind of slow down and regroup and be very conscious and patient with timing. So I already off the bat feel this, in this balance of Libra wanting to kind of balance things. A difficulty that we might have this season is feeling like we want to go and we want to do, and we're so excited and want to see the results of our actions and things coming to fruition, but it's not going to feel that way. So there could be some frustration, almost like a pressure cooker or something is what I'm feeling into. So, overall, that's kind of my first impressions of our reading. And so going back to the cards, our Page of Wands, I think that there is this is a support for those of us who, I know we've been through eclipse season and it can be kind of stagnant and all these things are coming through and people are feeling kind of lost, kind of tired, kind of burnt out, nothing is quite clear. Things are coming up that you were like, where did this come from? So we're kind of like, it's like being in kind of a storm and we just finally step out and there's no more fog and we're like, whoa, okay, we can actually feel like we can make progress here. So there's this feeling of we can move, we can start doing, if you work with spells or witchcraft, which is really just setting your intention into the universe, releasing your opinions or expectations of how you're going to receive feedback or information from your intention. You release all of that and allow the universe to answer you in its own way. And if you are paying attention, you will be able to follow the breadcrumbs of serendipity and synchronicity and of your intuition. And when you act on those things, that is when the universe continues to respond back and forth. And this is, kind of that law of attraction, the law of manifestation. And so there is, I just wanted to say, that's really what, in this hashtag tarot songs, I also like to be a bridge between the places that separate us of, kind of the stereotypes of what, witchcraft is, what is tarot. And so I wanted to say that to bridge that gap of what is really spell work. It's the same thing that mainstream media may be talking about in these books about manifestation. So this is a time where if you are feeling called to create something and put it out into the universe, this is a really great time to do that. I feel like overall, there is this sense of, kind of going to the overall sense of the reading, that there might be places where we maybe have been excited about things in the past, even as a child, things that really light us up that we're excited about, that maybe we have shut down or have been shut down by others, that we feel like we can't quite show up in our full capacity. And so that's where some of that healing is coming around. It's like we have all this excitement and joy, but we've kind of had to dim it, or, dim it down for fear of being judged by others, of maybe our parents or teachers saying that's too much. That's too much. You need to bring it down. We don't behave like that. We don't act like that. Maybe your passions were not as reflected back to you, by your parents as being like a positive thing. And so I see us kind of tapping into some of our inner child here of what is it, that we get excited about and we light up about. And, I think also there's a sense of some of us who are ready to move on into new directions and to try new things, new careers, to try being in community in different ways. This is a huge theme for this month and this lunation. And so those of us, who are really excited to kind of take some next steps, that's coming through. And so, I'm feeling also, okay, this needs to be said, for those of you who are feeling maybe some imposter syndrome, like, I'm not ready, I'm not experienced enough, I need to first go get this degree, I need to get this accolade, I need to get my business cards, I need to do my website, I have to kind of do all these things, because the Page of Wands is our solar plexus, it's our identity, how we're seen by the world, how we want the world to see us. We're thinking we have to do all these things before we can really be seen. And the message here is everybody has to start as a beginner in some way. Okay. And if you feel like you're competing against people who are maybe veterans in their field, or they already have the experience, or they're the mentors, so I feel like you need to kind of listen to them. This is a message that being a newbie and a beginner at something is actually an advantage. Okay. This is not something that we need to dim down or be like, humbly, just being a mentee, and not that that's a bad thing, but that there's some of us who are feeling like we are really excited, but that is an advantage that you have. Okay, everybody on a team, it's nice to have the, think of the maiden, mother, and crone, right? It's nice to have the crones who are wise and they have a lot of experience and they can kind of see things. But that maiden who is, in that beginning phase of something, like, you want that energy around you. It's exciting for other people. If you are excited for this new place that you want to, to actively engage in, that you're inspired to try, that energy is infectious. And allow your energy that lifts you up to be infectious. And that will be a sign I'm getting here too, for those of you who do that the people who respond to you, that is the next step. Like I said about listening to the universe, you ask, you listen, and you act, and the universe gives you little crumbs. Those people who are responding to you in those positive ways are the little crumbs that the star is saying are kind of healing for us in following those steps. Because our card from Aries, 3 of Pentacles, and our next steps I know we said this is slower energy, this is Pentacles, but we are being really called to, these are numbers of transition, and we're being called to see that what is it that we are growing, in our next steps. What are we growing with our attention? How are, this Page of Wands can be so fiery, it can actually, in shadow, guys, it can burn out. It can be like putting fire everywhere, like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. And then there's no focus, and you have all this energy, but there's a call to like focus it. And so our next steps is to kind of focus and reevaluate. The 7 is like, before you act again, look at what has kind of worked in the past, what has not worked. How can you focus that excitement, that newbie energy that you have, your enthusiasm and your desire to move forward? How can you kind of focus that on really being aware of that bigger picture of what you're creating with it? It will be like, be aware of some of the long-term goals so that the Page of Wands doesn't burn out and just put all the energy in, to one thing right away. It's like there's a long haul here that we're looking at in our next steps. Be aware that every little thing, is going to be contributing to like your bigger picture. And don't get frustrated, because in this world, we can get frustrated. We think, like we see these people, getting rich quick on social media, or they have these ideas and they blow up overnight. Most of us are not going to be media sensations. We're not going to be, in the news for being this amazing overnight thing. So there's a reminder of this, to be aware of that there's some conditioning and programming around that, and don't allow yourself to go to those places. This is some of the healing of, with Libra, this death and rebirth. Some of that is dying is, kind of buying into that. And that if we don't see results quick, we get disappointed, our expectations aren't met, we get, our emotions flood, and then we say, I'm not going to do that again because it didn't work. But this is kind of saying, maybe give it some time, give some of these things some time, that your inspiration and your passion, it won't dwindle, and it's going to keep growing and developing. In the world around you. The Pentacles, especially with this 3 of Pentacles, this is a card kind of like of community. And this is our message from Aries. So using that enthusiasm, that excitement from Page of Wands, and recognize that, use it to fuel how you are showing up, and how you're showing up for yourself, in your physical body. Pentacles brings us to our bodies. And Libra, there is this, Libra is ruled by Venus, which is, a planet of love and, truly embodying beauty. Libra, I know this is a card of Aries, but it's working here together to balance this place of creating the beauty that you want to see in the world. Beauty in your relationships, beauty in the workplace, beauty in, what we're creating. Because right now we are ripe. I know it's easy to focus on what's bad. It's easy to focus on the things that we see dying around us in the world, foundations crumbling and things. But you can't create new ways of being and a wonderful new future unless things die. So another message coming through here is creating room for space, like allowing, some of this patience and, the other word that's coming through is devotion. Instead of discipline, thinking that we have to, like, Page of Wands has to like kind of go and do and like use your fire and just like light shit up, that there is with the Pentacles, when we I think a lot of what's happening, there is this, we're entering into the time of shadows, right? Scorpio season, and Mercury's in Scorpio today as well. So there is some of this, I feel, an energy of nudging us into some shadow work. And sorry, that took me in a different direction. Some of this shadow work and recognizing how we're building and moving. Gosh, I lost that. I'm sorry, it brought me to a whole new place. but just know, yeah, the Scorpio, that'll come back for a minute. So we have kind of this Scorpio energy in here which is our next zodiac season that we're moving into. Oh, that we're creating space. Yeah. And yeah, so we're creating space here. So lastly, is there anything else that we'd like to talk about? Well, how about the star is what I'm hearing. For those of you who pull the star, you know, this is a major arcana. And like I said, this does connect us to our ancestral healing, some of our generational patterns that, you know, in our shadow work, it can be the things that we don't like about ourselves, but it can also be the subconscious, our motivations that drive our behavior that we're not even really aware of, that are affecting and motivating our behavior. And so, you know, the star is this card of healing where we can start to become aware of some of those shadowy places that are kind of driving our behavior. And our ancestors, you know, we are made of the same stuff. We have the same blood, the same bones. You know, we all are made of the stars if you look at the elements. And so when we heal ourselves, and this is kind of a call to quantum healing too, that when we heal ourselves, you know, we are also healing that of the generations before us. So if you had women down the line who were maybe making themselves small and they felt like they didn't have the experience of, you know, a man, or all they'd been is a stay-at-home mom, and they don't have that resume, you know, to step up and to do something different than to just, you know, have their worth be giving to others and what they sacrifice. And, you know, if you have that, this is an example, the star would say, by you choosing to follow, you know, your dream, whatever that may be, it doesn't have to be a huge, you know, huge like being the CEO or CFO or something. This can be, you know, the ability to kind of follow where your heart wants you to go. If it's, you know, being a seamstress for like people in a play, or, you know, you're working, you know, at Rotary and helping lead, you know, community groups to volunteer. These are a few examples of leaving outside of the home and being able to kind of follow what lights you up. The star is saying those things that you do for yourself, you are also healing those line of women who were not able to leave the home. You know, if you are maybe in the patriarchal way, you know, because I think there's a lot of patriarchal things that are dying as well. You know, if you were a man who, you know, was raised to believe like you kind of take care of yourself and your family, and you can be like a doctor, you can be a lawyer, you can do these things that, you know, make money, and those are your options. If you choose, you know, Page of Wands would say, no, maybe you're not going to follow that just because that was the advice or the expectation of what your family has said a man is supposed to do. You know, that maybe you identify as more female. You know, maybe you want to be a teacher. You know, maybe you want to go do some career that is not in any of those fields. So I hope this is helpful for you. There was kind of a lot of different directions there, but if you have questions or comments, please leave them in the comments, and stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter, entropyhealing.com, and please like and subscribe to this channel. Happy full moon.